Welcome back, tech enthusiasts. Today, we're diving into the world of technology, but not just any tech. We're talking about the most expensive tech fails in history. From exploding phones to self-driving cars that, well, didn't quite drive themselves, we'll be looking at the biggest flops, the grand miscalculations, and the straight-up blunders that cost tech giants billions. So, buckle up, grab your favorite tech accessory, hopefully not one of these flops, and let's get started. Alright, let's kick things off with a bang, literally. The Samsung Galaxy Note 7. This phone was supposed to be Samsung's flagship device, a powerhouse of technology that would dominate the market. And for a little while, it seemed like it was going to do just that. It had a sleek design, powerful specs, everything you'd expect from a top-tier phone. But then, the reports started coming in. Phones were overheating, catching fire, some even exploding. Not exactly the kind of user experience you want. Turns out, there was an issue with the battery design and manufacturing. And it wasn't just a few isolated incidents, it became a full-blown crisis for Samsung. They had to issue a global recall, pulling millions of phones off the market. Imagine the logistics of that, the sheer scale of it. It was a PR nightmare, a logistical nightmare, and a financial nightmare all rolled into one. We're talking billions of dollars in losses. Next up, we have Microsoft's answer to the iPod, the Microsoft Zune. Now, Microsoft was a giant in the tech world, but they were a little late to the MP3 player party. The iPod was already dominating the market, but Microsoft thought they could take a bite out of Apple's success. They poured millions into developing the Zune, hoping to create a worthy competitor. They even had some innovative features like the early ability to share music wirelessly, but it just wasn't enough. The Zune, despite its features and Microsoft's marketing muscle, never really caught on. The iPod was just too popular, too ingrained in pop culture. The Zune became synonymous with the other MP3 player, the one nobody really wanted. Microsoft eventually discontinued the Zune, marking another expensive misstep in their quest for hardware dominance. Now let's talk about a product that was supposed to revolutionize the way we interact with technology: Google Glass. Remember this one? The idea was futuristic, even a little bit sci-fi. You put on these glasses and boom, you've got the internet, maps, messaging all right there in your field of vision. No more pulling out your phone, no more distractions. It was augmented reality before augmented reality was cool. Google invested heavily in Google Glass, promoting it as the future of wearable tech. But there were some major problems. First off, the price. These things were expensive, like really expensive, not exactly something everyone could casually pick up. Then there was the design. Let's just say they weren't the most fashionable accessory. People called them clunky, geeky, even creepy. The privacy concerns were also a big issue. People were uncomfortable with the idea of someone recording them without their knowledge. Google Glass ultimately failed to live up to the hype. It became more of a punchline than a revolution. Even Apple, the tech giant that can seemingly do no wrong, has had its share of expensive blunders. And one of the most notable ones has to be the launch of Apple Maps. Now, we all rely on navigation apps these days. They're essential for getting around. So, when Apple decided to ditch Google Maps and create their own mapping service, it was a big deal. But the launch, well, let's just say it didn't go so smoothly. The maps were riddled with errors. We're talking wrong directions, misplaced landmarks, even entire cities disappearing from the map. It was bad. Really bad. People were getting lost, frustrated, even ending up in the wrong country because of faulty directions. The internet had a field day with Apple Maps memes and jokes. Apple, known for its meticulous attention to detail, had messed up big time. They eventually had to apologize and even recommend that people use other mapping services. Ouch. It took them years to fully recover from that one. Remember the HP touchpad? No? Don't worry, most people don't. This tablet was HP's attempt to compete in the tablet market that Apple was dominating with the iPad. The touchpad wasn't a bad tablet, not by any means. It had some decent specs, a sleek design, and ran WebOS, which was actually a pretty innovative mobile operating system at the time. But it was released at a time when the iPad was basically unstoppable. It was like trying to fight a tank with a water pistol. The touchpad just couldn't gain any traction in the market. People weren't interested. To make matters worse, HP made some questionable decisions like pricing the touchpad higher than the iPad initially. They eventually slashed the price, but it was too little, too late. The HP touchpad was discontinued just a few months after its release, making it one of the shortest-lived tech products in history. Amazon, the e-commerce giant, decided to try its hand at making a smartphone. Enter the Amazon Fire Phone. Now, Amazon had a pretty good track record with hardware. Their Kindle e-readers were a huge success, so there was some hope that they could replicate that success in the smartphone market. The Fire Phone had some interesting features like 3D capabilities and integration with Amazon's vast ecosystem of products and services. But it also had some major drawbacks. The operating system was clunky, the app selection was limited compared to Android and iOS, and the price was just too high for what it offered. Consumers weren't convinced. The Fire Phone was a flop, selling dismally and quickly fading into obscurity. Amazon took a big financial hit from this misfire, proving that even the biggest companies can stumble when they step outside their comfort zone. Let's rewind the clock a bit and talk about a software disaster: Windows Vista. Now, Windows has been the dominant operating system for decades, but even giants can stumble, and Vista was a major stumble for Microsoft. It was supposed to be the next big thing, a revolutionary OS that would change the way we use computers. But when it finally launched, after years of delays, it was met with a collective groan from PC users worldwide. Vista was plagued with problems. It was slow, bloated, and resource-intensive. Remember those Vista-capable stickers on PCs? Turns out many of those PCs could barely even run Vista properly. Then there were the compatibility issues. Many programs and devices just didn't work with Vista. And to top it all off, there were those infamous user account control, UAC pop-ups that drove everyone crazy. Vista became synonymous with frustration and disappointment. It's considered one of the biggest flops in Microsoft's history. Now, this next one isn't strictly a tech product, but it's a story about how technology, or rather the promise of technology, can be used to deceive and defraud. This is the story of Theranos. Theranos, founded by Elizabeth Holmes, promised to revolutionize the medical industry with its revolutionary blood testing technology. The company claimed that its device, called the Edison, could perform hundreds of blood tests using just a single drop of blood. It sounded too good to be true. And well, it was. The technology simply didn't work as claimed. Theranos had been misleading investors, doctors, and patients for years. The company was eventually exposed as a massive fraud, resulting in criminal charges against Holmes and her former business partner. The Theranos scandal is a cautionary tale about the dangers of hype, greed, and the dark side of Silicon Valley's fake it till you make it culture. Have you ever wanted to spend hundreds of dollars on a machine that squeezes juice bags? Well, if you were around in 2016, Juicero was trying to sell you just that. The Juicero press was a high-tech Wi-Fi connected juicer that used proprietary juice packs, kind of like a Keurig for cold-pressed juice. The problem was, the machine was completely unnecessary. Someone discovered that you could get the same amount of juice, just as easily, by squeezing the Juicero juice packs with your bare hands. You didn't need the $400 machine. The internet had a field day with this one, mocking the company for its overpriced, over-engineered product. Juicero tried to defend itself, but the damage was done. The company folded a few months later, proving that even in the age of smart appliances, sometimes the simplest solution is the best. And finally, we come to the Segway PT, a product that was supposed to revolutionize personal transportation. Remember this one? The self-balancing two-wheeled scooter that was going to change the way we commute, the way we live. Before its launch, the hype was unreal. It was shrouded in secrecy, with whispers of it being a world-changing invention. People were expecting something truly groundbreaking, but when it was finally revealed, the reaction was underwhelming. It was a cool gadget, sure, but it wasn't exactly the revolution people were hoping for. It was expensive, bulky, and not very practical for everyday use. The Segway became more of a novelty item, something you'd see security guards riding in malls rather than a mainstream mode of transportation. Despite its initial hype, the Segway never really found its footing in the market. It serves as a reminder that even with the best intentions and innovative ideas, sometimes the market just isn't ready for what you're selling. And there you have it, folks, the 10 most expensive tech fails in history. It's a reminder that even the biggest companies can make costly mistakes. From exploding phones to juice-squeezing robots, these tech flops serve as cautionary tales for any company looking to innovate and disrupt the market. But hey, failure is a part of progress, right? It's how we learn, how we adapt, and how we come up with the next big thing. So, the next time your phone glitches or your app crashes, remember these epic fails, and take comfort in the fact that it could always be worse. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more tech content. See you next time.